The paper is about the resource decisions that were made at the same time as the Strategic Defence and Security Review at the end of 2015. They made very important statements on strategy, but importantly, at the same time, the government brought out a spending review, which elucidated what that meant in terms of how much money went to different parts of government. And quite a lot of the details have only emerged since the time of the spending review. Departments didn't know themselves in detail how much they get when the SDSR was published, but that's all now become much clearer. And in important respects, there have been some quite radical changes in the way resources have been allocated. One of the most important points is that the UK is, as the Prime Minister is always proud to say, the only major country that meets its commitment to spending 2% of national income on defence and 0.7% on international aid. You might have thought that would mean that the Ministry of Defence had its budget ring-fenced and the Department for International Development had its budget ring-fenced, but that actually hasn't been the result. What's happened is that the Treasury has used those two targets, 2% to 0.7%, as a way of driving through more cooperation between Whitehall departments and given the centre more power to decide where that 2% and where that 0.7% is going. In the case of defence, because the UK is broadening the definition of what it means by defence for NATO reporting purposes, a large part of the spending of the security and intelligence agencies is counted as defence. And the government, during the review last year, ran a trade-off essentially between security intelligence agency priorities on the one hand, MOD priorities on the other, and traded between them using a new cross-Whitehall fund. And in the case of aid, the government's committed to 0.7%, but it's not so keen on spending on DFID, whose main focus continues to be alleviation of extreme poverty. Rather, it wants to use more of the aid budget to help the security and the broader development of middle and low-income countries. And therefore, while the DFID budget is more or less flat in real terms, there's been a massive increase in the amount of aid spending being channeled through other departments, such as the Foreign Office.